Rocket Crocket, what's going on? Nice to see everybody. It's cool to see that you guys are still watching and you're watching what's happening, not just here, but in Crocket and what's happening around Crocket. To remember actually that we are doing some amazing events. There's consistent disaster resilience gatherings happening in town, which are awesome. There's meetings that are happening, as we're gonna find out from Supervisor Shanelle, that there's even gatherings happening with the supervisors running. There's town hall meetings. There are opportunities for applying for grants for the city and for the community. And we're also doing eco-restoration projects with Creek. So, there's all this amazing stuff happening around town. There's cleanups happening with the CIA. So definitely want to tune into that cool stuff. And then beyond that too, Revival Coffee is a great place to go get your coffee whenever you're in town. You can always stop by and go to Lucia's and get a really delicious lunch. Oh my God, they're so yummy and yummy, yummy, yummy. You can also, there's a lot of other shops in town, Mariko's place, and you can get some flower arrangements for your work or for your community. And if you want to volunteer, there's a lot of opportunities to volunteer. So Rocket Crocket's where it's at. I think it's important that we start to play around a little bit, and what we love to do is take care of our own community, make sure people in our own community are well and healthy. So let's keep up that good vibe, okay? All right, so I'm gonna play this right now, and let's see what happens, okay? Welcome to Rocket Crocket.
Thank you for inviting me to Rocket Crocket.
And you are a supervisor for the county, but you're a supervisor for the city of, or the services district of Crocket.
Yeah, so I'm happy to be representing Crocket. I'm a new supervisor here in District 5, and Crocket happens to be one of the incorporated communities in my area.
That's amazing. What do you feel? What do you feel about Crocket? Like, what feeling does it when you come through town? What feeling does it give you?
Oh, it's, I love that it's a small, close-knit community, but with a lot of history, right? And so, when you looked at C&H Sugar, the factory there, but also it used to be a fisherman town, and me coming from Pittsburgh also used to be a fisherman town. So there's a lot of stories from people from Pittsburgh going over to Crocket in their boats and back and forth. There's family members I know that moved to Crocket and then to Pittsburgh and back and forth. So
what? Yeah. I didn't know that there was that relationship between Pittsburgh and Crocket. I mean, it makes sense because the whole waterfront all the way down, right? But it's not really active right now. I don't see that much.
It's not active like it used to be back in the day. But if you look at great pictures, I was in Rodeo. I held office hours the other day in Rodeo, and a lot of the community members was talking about Joseph Beach and how they used to have a fun time out there. Wow. And trying to work with the East Bay Regional Park District on how do we collaborate together to purchase Joseph Beach, create that to be a recreational space, and to make sure that's connected with our Bay Trail. So that's open space for people to go out and continue to enjoy, especially the people who are from Rodeo and Crocket.
Yeah, I can't help, when you say that too, I can't help but also think about all the restoration that's needed for people to enjoy it, right? Like just the water being cleaner and more safer for everyone, and for the land to be healthier and cleaner, right? Or, more safe for everybody. That's a part of it too.
Yeah. So my district represented along the water. So District 5, it's Hercules, Rodeo, Crocket, Port Costa, Martinez. And within Martinez, there's 2 incorporated areas, Mountain View and Vine Hill. Then Pacheco, Clyde, a small part of Concord as well. And then Bay Point, Pittsburgh, and then a small piece of Antioch.
I mean, District 5 is huge.
It's huge, yes, all along the northern waterfront.
And it's not like all concentrated in like a circle. It's like a long stretch.
It's a long stretch.
Like California.
Yes. And every community is unique, and every community is different. No community is the same in District 5.
That's kind of cool too, because it is kind of beautiful to be to get to have this microcosm of America and all these like diverse cultures and communities and histories, like you said. But I can't help but notice there's like this amazing working class, like there's like a lot of really hard workers have lived here and are still live here, and there's like this energy of possibility. Like I can't explain it. Like a can do. Is that true?
That is true. Yeah. Yeah, you have a hard working class here in the Bay Area, especially in just Contra Costa County, and especially along that stretch of the northern waterfront. I mean, just imagine when I just shared, it used to be Crocket being a fisherman town, and that was the way people made money, right? And it was the same way in Pittsburgh. Wow. Like Pittsburgh used to be called New York Landing because all of the people from it was an Italian culture at that time, but they came in and they created a fisherman town and renamed it. Yeah.
Whoa, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I also think it's always so cool. Like sometimes I love meditate on the coast there. You know, whether it's Port Costa or Crocket, and I'll like imagine all these. Like there was so much action happening. Like there was so much happening. That was like the main wheat spot, right, for the U.S. Yeah. Right, and then there was like also Prohibition era stuff was happening. Like it was a secret, fun spot, not so secret.
And just think about the military time, right?
Oh my God.
The Bay Area was, huge player during the military. During World War II, we had military bases in Concord, a military base in Vallejo, right across from Crocket and Rodeo, military base in Richmond.
Wow.
Military base in San Francisco, military base in Alameda County. So we played a huge role,
Yeah, I mean, I think it still continues to play. I feel like since there is this inertia and energy of the can-do working class attitude, I feel like there is there's possibility in Crocket, right? And there's, I mean, we literally know, right? You probably know this more than I do, but there's literally funds, right? Like there's been funds that have been accumulated where we can actually put the working class problem solving, right, in the community, whether it's like growing food or building or regenerating spaces. How do you feel about all of that? What do you feel about the future of not just Crocket, but like the bioregion there and being the river where the river meets the ocean?
Yeah, I feel like each community, we got to look at them differently, right? Yep. And so I think my main focus, at least over the last 90 days, of being a county supervisor is really trying to learn communities. Like I share, each one is different, so I don't want to put my own perspective on that community. I want them to share what they're looking for in their community. And so I'm hosting these community goals workshops. So during the month of May, I will have one in Crocket, one in Rodeo, one in Pacheco, Vine Hill, Mountain View area, one in Clyde, one in Bay Point. So each of my unincorporated communities will feel represented, will feel heard of what they would like to see in their community. And, those are things that I would like to focus on.
I love that. Yeah, and we were talking about all this stuff, but I can't help but also just remember how important it is for us to continue having these conversations, like creating the spaces where people can come together, share what they feel, but also share their civic imagination. Have you heard of that word, civic imagination? Yeah. Yeah, like playing around with what if we used our imagination for civics, right? We use it for all kinds of things, but what if it was applied there? And especially with places since we do have these, I like to call it a polycrisis, whether it's like the elderly not having certain types of care or access to care, or it's folks who don't normally have opportunities, having opportunities, but also I think food, right? Yeah. Food is a big thing, food security.
Yes.
We can be growing a lot of food, for example, in Crocket. Do you know anything about the history of Crocket in terms of before it became an industrial town? What was it before that? Do you know?
I do not know. Yeah.
So I wonder sometimes why did the settlers first move like why did they like pick that spot? You know, and in India too, this happens whenever like settlers come and take over a spot. Usually it's because it's super abundant.
Right.
So right.
Well, yeah, that's why you got a lot of communities along the water. I mean, yeah.
So it must have been super abundant. So I wonder how we could bring back the abundance, because we don't really grow much food in the Bay Area. I mean, in Crocket or Port Costa. But what if there was a little bit more food growing? Would that be an industry? Would that generate movement? I wonder.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah, and like on that note, you know, I'm curious, Shanelle, like, have you heard of this idea called the donut economics?
I have heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. What do you feel about it? Like, what is it to you? Like when you just take a glance at it, other than the donut.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about it, but you know, it kind of feels like making sure everyone has something. In terms of wealth, right? Like making sure everyone has something, no one's being left behind. And, you know, and putting community needs first. That's how, when I read it, that's how I view it.
I love that. I mean, I definitely think it's one of those nuanced, I think when we think about, you know, economics, right? Economics generally is kind of inaccessible. Like, does everybody understand economics?
Yeah.
I mean, especially city or county or state, there's a pretty complicated economics.
Yeah.
There's like budgets and there's all these things, and you know, how many people can read them and understand them? And even when we can, things are changing all the time. So I love that with the donut economics, gives us an opportunity to look at like what's happening to the people, but what's also happening to ecology at the same time. Like, are they healthy? And like you said, how can they be supported? But can they be supported at the same time? Like, do we have to do whack-a-mole with the problem, or can we solve multiple problems with one solution or a few solutions? So yeah. So on that note, you know, I'm curious. What do you imagine? What's your hope and vision for Crocket as you've kind of been? I mean, I know it's short notice, only 90 days, but even in this short time, because you have these wonderful office hours too, so you've been like listening to folks coming in, sharing what their concerns are, but also what their ideas are. What do you feel like? What do you feel would help Crocket be a place that you're proud of saying you represent it?
I'm proud of saying I represent Crocket right now. I'm proud to say I'm proud that I'm representing all of these communities.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I go to Crocket, the people in Crocket are very, very proud. And, you know, I see that in Rodeo. You know, I see that over in Bay Point and, you know, Martinez and Pittsburgh and Hercules. And, you know, people are very concerned about sometimes having a new elected official come in their community and creating this change that, you know, I don't want my community to look like this. I want my community to stay this way, right? And so I think that's why hosting these goals workshop, coming up with goals that they would like to see is important because I'm not putting my own thing on them. I'm hearing from them, and then I'm looking at what can we create together to create change.
I think that's a great answer too. By the way, I feel, Shanelle, it's really important, or do I have to say Supervisor Shanelle? But I know it feels weird, right? People are like, Supervisor. It's like, huh? What? Is that me? But I love that you answered that way, because that is actually such a really important role for something like a supervisor, because you have this authority, right, that you can navigate system, but you have to also be able to listen to everybody and to create those spaces for people to be listened to. And I think that's a part of the job description. A lot of people forget when they get into government spaces.
I agree. You don't want to be an elected official that you're too high up, that people feel like you're unreachable or untouchable. I just want to be seen as a regular person, because that's what I am. I'm a mom of 2. I'm a wife, you know, a caretaker to my mother-in-law. You know, so we're regular people, and that's how we should be.
Yeah, and accessible, and also listening and open-minded. Yeah, and I'm excited. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm really big in the civic engagement space, and I love organizing around civic engagement, reimagining civic engagement, because there's ways we can listen that are interactive and more playful and more play-based, or maybe music or food-based. You know? But yeah, I wonder too, you know, how we can start to maybe allocate more ideas for from the kids. Like,
I
right?
agree. Yeah, I was out in Crocket last month for a career day, and I got a chance to visit 7 of the classrooms and kind of hear from the teenagers of, what they want to see, or just ask questions, right? I think it's important for young people to see a woman. This is the first time a woman has held this position in District 5 as a county supervisor.
The first time?
The first time, for District 5. So that's a big deal because it's always been a man. And then me being the first African American woman, that's a big deal for children of color so that they can see, those possibilities.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I mean, so that you're breaking a boundary here, but also you're opening a possibility.
Right. And one day, they won't have to break these glass ceilings, and I'm hoping I'm creating pathways that they see opportunity moving forward, and to see them in these positions, or see them doing things like you, right? Creating civic engagement, imagining, how civic engagement could be with elected officials, imagining civic engagement with anyone at their school, their teachers, leaders in the community, of how they can create and make change in their community together.
Yeah, and
to be heard, right? Like to be heard.
To be heard, and also like I've kind of sourced some of the teenagers in Crocket. A few years ago they wanted to build a skate park.
Yes.
Okay, and they did a lot of we dove down that rabbit hole because they wanted to they organized, they did everything that the CCSD council told them to do, and then there's no skate park. And so how do we, when folks do show up, how do we honor that, right? Especially youth, they come around an idea, how do we execute what they come together and organize around? Because sometimes that doesn't happen, it actually turns people off from civic totally, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, it'd be interesting to see why they decided not to move forward with the skate park. Whether that was finding space, whether that was funds to create the skate park, and how they work through those barriers to work towards that goal.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely invite them to when you come to Crocket for these things.
I would love to hear from the young people. That's the best group. They see it from a different lens. What they want their community to be like.
We'll have to dangle a carrot. What's a good carrot to dangle so they'll come? Because it's civic engagement. They're gonna be like, what can we dangle?
Yeah, I don't know. You have to let me know.
Free video game, free
pizza, ice cream, social.
Oh, ice cream. I do have some good, but it's gotta be
starting to warm up a little bit. So,
that's true. The ice cream might be, or some those. What are those called? Those Hawaiian shaved ice or something might be kind of cool. Something. And then I'm curious too. You have since we are in a CCTV space, how do you imagine this space? You're. I feel like you're from my generation, and you have kids who are kind of in this multimedia generation where they're on their phones and whatever. They're not really watching Comcast and all this stuff, right?
No.
How can this how do you imagine the CCTV or the media space or the storytelling space to evolve so it can meet how people are looking at media now?
Right. Yeah, I used to work for a member of Congress, and he was really big on saving local news, right? Because those are things that we don't really focus on as much as we used to, because now we have the world of social media and Facebook, and that has become our news. But unfortunately, within that, right, is some of that is fake news, right?
Oh my gosh, so much.
I think young people can be really great storytellers because they're sharing stories that you don't hear about. And since they're really into TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, they can create stories in that way, right? A TikTok, a video, a reel on Instagram, but still, sharing a story of what's happening in their community. Or even using this space,
This space is cool.
Yeah.
What about the Crocket Recreation Center? Like that stage and everything.
Yeah.
I imagine us creating, so we have this. What if we had a stage like Johnny Carson, Conan O'Brien, I love Conan O'Brien. What if there was like a talk show for Crocket and the kids could come and do like variety stuff, and the elders too, like the grandparents and the elders in the community can share their stories as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just planting my seed. You guys listening out there, let's make it happen. make a show in Crocket, on the recreation center. So, Shanelle, thank you so much for coming to this space, and I hope you continue to utilize this space for local journalism. And I'm glad that you actually have that iteration in your past, and you could bring it into this new position as supervisor. Is there anything you want to share with the community? I mean, is there any call? I mean, you already shared the space that's going to be. Do you actually know the date for the Crocket one? What do you want to invite the community into?
Yeah, I want to invite them into a space for my community workshop and goal session, like looking at things that are low-hanging fruit, right? Like that we can do right now. And taking down all of those different goals that we might be able to do and maybe get something accomplished within the year. You're here as an elected official, but you want to feel like you're actually doing something, getting things done, and seeing those accomplishments being done together. And so, I want to bring them into that space to share that, and then just, manage expectations of this is what we're able to do and narrow that down together.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you accomplish all these things, you might be on a trajectory for governor, something else. But I know you're not thinking about that. That'd be cool because that's.
Well, I said low-hanging fruit. And then to continue to do it every year. Within cities, when I served on city council, we would have goals workshops every year, and a lot of the cities do the same thing. But unincorporated communities don't have that opportunity to do that, so I hope to bring that here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, you want to knock us out of here?
All right.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Let's see if I can get it as loud as I did last time. I want to introduce something to you guys. It's the California Donut. This is incredible research that's been done over several years to compile a donut snapshot for the state of California. And what's really, really great about this donut snapshot, you can see it right there, but I'll probably pop it up on the screen, is us understanding basically the holistic medical report for the state of California. And what's being done is this is being leveraged in San Diego County as well as in San Jose and a few other places all around the state of California, about how to use this to start to both communicate to the public where we are, what's the health of the community, what's the health of our sociology, our social indicators, and also our ecological indicators, but then what are the actions we could do to make it better? So I'm really excited because what we've been doing with donut economics is actually creating festivals and gatherings where we're healing the donut. So once we understand that here's where we're not doing well, right? We're breaking out of the donut, right? We actually can do the events that can heal the donut, both the ecological aspects, but also the community aspects. So it's been really fun to use a tool like the donut economic model, which is kind of shaped like many cool circular things that are really circular and fun and cool. And donut economics allows us to frame it in a way that we can actually see it all, but it makes sense to even that a child can understand it. And I think that's what's really missing when we talk about economics. It's really inaccessible to people. So when they want to access
what's happening in their local economy or what's happening in their local ecology, it's not related. And everything is related, but it's not related the way we look at it now. So what a wonderful opportunity for us to learn a concept. And who doesn't like donuts? Even if you don't like donuts, you get it. You actually understand why donuts are important. So check out Donut Economics. There's a lot of opportunity that you go to the website itself. There's open sourcing. It's going to be evolving and changing as we speak. So please tune in to Donut Economics. Donut Economics, even in the state of California, but anywhere around the world where donut economics is actually improving those communities and towns, and how it's being used as an effective communication tool by the government, by people who really care about economics, people who care about ecology, people who care about social. How do we bring all the different aspects of what we care about in our communities, our specific communities? How can we tell that story in a way we actually actuate the change that needs to happen? So I'm excited to share more about that as things evolve. Check out one of the Cosmic Labyrinth eco-cultural economic festivals that we produce all around the space. I mean, we're always open to working with new farmers and new community projects, and we love solving those projects, so definitely tune into that. And more than anything else, let's practice more ecotherapy, right? Let's actually, like ecotherapy, not just putting your feet in the soil, but how can we practice ecotherapy where we're actually changing the circumstances of our lives, improving the food systems, the building systems, the systems around water, and like us having healthy water, us having access to water, us having access to healthy air, right? I mean, these basic things that we all need, how do we start to actuate what it means to be healthy in those spaces? So I'm excited to see you at one of the events. It could be a virtual one, it could be an in-person one. Thank you for tuning in. 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 Thank you.